to move through this, we're going to look at individuals first, and we use Maslow's hierarchy just because it opens up so many more needs. I know at my at-risk school, one of the main things that happened is students all the time would come to school hungry, and we provided free lunch, but it was a federal lunch, or breakfast and lunch, so they weren't really great. And a lot of students, they had standards that were used to McDonald's and junk food with all of the sugar and nutrients, and they did not like the normal kind of food that we were serving. So even though they had physiological needs down at the bottom of food or sleep, we really couldn't provide those. We provided safety, but you can't really provide love, belonging, esteem, all those things in a strictly academic classroom. Now, as teachers, we know they're all super important, right? Teachers would buy granola bars and try to feed their students and have snacks out. We would, do things like meditation or mindfulness practices. We would, focus on having a sense of belonging or interacting in the class, but often just from this academic point of view, or it was something teachers had to slip in on the side. In this academic or this adventure perspective, you're able to just openly admit, and this is kind of what we want more and more teachers to do, but think all the time of exactly like, where are your students on this amazing Maslow's pyramid? Where are they? And what do you have to fill in each day, right? And some days it's going to vary. Some days students are there up near the top. Sometimes they're near the bottom. But just like any pyramid, the idea is you have to fill in the bottom level before you can move up, right? So I'm going to switch to the slightly more detailed version of this. You can kind of look through this. You can always scroll back. It won't be on the screen for too long. But the big one I want to point out here is cognitive needs. And that's knowledge, understanding, curiosity, exploration, basically academic facts, things that really require this cognitive level of your brain. But the idea is that no student is going to be up here at cognitive needs if they haven't filled in their physical needs, their safety needs, their love and belongingness, and their esteem needs. All of these things need to be filled in. And adventure education gets to admit that. And your experience, kind of the quick example of this is we used to teach archery. And with the exact same experience of archery, I could definitely teach cognitive needs. We had archery classes where we really focused on the physics of archery and how it operates off a spring coefficient and the velocity of the arrow, and doing math and science measurements off of these arrow speeds and kind of the amount of force hitting a target based on the weight of the arrow and all that. But cognitive needs weren't the only thing that was covered, right? There were also students, even in that same class, we had some refugee students that really had a lack of a sense of safety or a lack of a love and belongingness, right? And so we're able to use that same archery class to build a sense of confidence or a sense of safety or a sense of, and show them that the room is structured and that we have very strict safety protocols, and we can give them and create this moment of a sense of safety needs. And that was one of my favorite parts, is this exact same archery thing you could use at every level. We'd also, though, at the same time, I've worked at schools, or gifted programs and like middle SES schools where you have cognitive needs really well covered at school and at home. So we were able to use archery to focus more on kind of this meditative aesthetic need and transcending and becoming kind of your truest self up here at self-actualization, right? Now, there are thousands of pages written on Maslow's hierarchy, and we cannot break it all down here in our second coaching session, but pull this up later. Google Maslow's hierarchy at any point. You got the spelling up here, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Probably familiar with it, many of you. But the idea is, in your class, you can go through, and for each student, you can print off a little roster, and basically just on here or any of the versions you find, kind of shade in for yourself each student, like where do you think they're really at, right? Is every student you have right here only at cognitive needs all the time? And I think if you think about that, you will find many, many students aren't, right? So like even right now, most teachers can come up with like physiological needs. Who's a student you have that does not get enough sleep or enough food right before coming to school? And that might be family situation. It might be a perfectly well-off student who's just staying up till 3 a.m. playing Fortnite, right? But which students do you have with physiological needs or safety needs or love and belongingness?